welcome back to my channel. It's Christian here, and you are tuned in for more of my 2 cents. And as I like to start off all videos with a little housekeeping, 3 things to keep in mind. Number 1, you are not alone. Number 2, you are not crazy. And number 3, God still loves you. Today's video is going to be short, sweet, and to the point, and I really want to do this as an encouragement video because some of my videos may be a little heavy, for some people who may, just be starting their deconstruction process or their removal from church, indoctrination, organized religion, and all of those things, or just simply maybe trying to find a voice that relates to what they've experienced or what they're going through, or even some things that they've wondered and never really had that much expression to know what it is that they're feeling. And I know it can be difficult. It can be very difficult. And so I really wanted to use this time to encourage you to not feel bad about where you are on your journey. When I first started the path of deconstruction and pulling away from religion and church, it was a lonely journey. It was a journey of it was an awakening. It was a spiritual awakening. And I'm still on the journey now, but not so fresh and new where I feel like I'm wrong, or I feel like I'm destined to hell, or I feel like I'm breaking some rules and I'm just exposed and I'm going to get in trouble. That is guilt. That's guilt. That's the guilt that I did feel when it first started for me, which was at the end of 2020. I felt an overwhelming, no, it was 2019. Y'all, I'm sorry. This pandemic has been going on for so long that I didn't get my years mixed up. It was 2019 that I actually started the deconstruction process and having a spiritual awakening. Now, my husband and I stopped going to church in 2016, for real. And we haven't been to church in 2 years. I visited off and on here for one service, a women's group kind of setting, not really a church service, but outside group settings, or events that they would have with certain speakers that I wanted to hear at a church, and I would go. So I've done that once or twice, but I just want you to know that you don't have to feel bad on your journey of discovery. You're not in trouble, right? You haven't backslid. You haven't stepped away from God's love or from your Creator's care and affection or attention. The thing about it is that a lot of our Creator's love has been isolated or taught to us in isolation to get certain responses and certain actions out of us. And it actually has left us without the tools to survive and to thrive in this world. And I don't think that a lot of spiritual leaders understand what they're doing and how traumatic and hurtful it is, because you're doing this to people who trust you and they expect you to lead their souls to Christ and to heaven ultimately, but they have that power within themselves. And a lot of times church becomes a performance and an experience that is harmful. It does more harm than good to a lot of people who have good hearts. They start out with good passion and hearts, and they come in with so much love and zeal for God, and then they end up broken, bruised, ashamed, hurt, and disconnected from themselves, and feeling disconnected from the love of their Creator. And that's not what anyone should feel at all when they come in contact with church or with believers. And so I just want to I want to deconstruct even that from people feeling like that's the norm. You shouldn't go to church and expect to be hurt. You really shouldn't go to church and be shocked that people are nice, but you are, because there's so many people who aren't. And it's okay, because imperfect people serve in ministry too. And so I want you to know, and I do have a few points here, that you're doing the work to shed years of conditioning. Years. It starts when you are a child. If you were born into a Christian or a Baptist or a holiness church or whatever your religion may be, you were born into that. You didn't have a choice. And so what you're doing right now is shedding years of beliefs that have been piled on top of you every chance that was given. You didn't get to pull away and say, no, this is too much for me. No, I don't understand this. Explain it. You didn't get to ask questions. You were told never to question God, never to question the Bible, never to question your pastor. And you know you weren't questioning your parents. Okay, let me bring it back down. So all of your freedoms have been stripped of you from a spiritual standpoint from the beginning of time, which then plays a part in how you use your voice in other ways, right? When you become an adult, you feel like your voice is gone for you to address or to call out or to question authority in other areas of your life. And again, I don't think that spiritual leaders or parents realized they were doing this to their children or to their members. But the more you tell people not to question what you're teaching, the more you start stripping away a person's ability to do that outside of church. And so when we were in church, we just took in what we were told. And then when you go out in the world or you're in school or wherever, you take in whatever is put on you. And so you end up having a lot of little followers. Hence social media, followers, right? And not realizing that influencers exist outside of social media. You had your first influencers were your parents. Then after that, it was your teachers. And then after that, you know, your leaders, your church leaders. But then you went on to have professors. And then bosses who were jerks. Everything is set up from the beginning of time to condition you to not make your own choices or to think for yourself or to stand up for yourself. And so with you on this journey of new discovery, of self-discovery, you're not doing wrong. You have not had the freedom to be a multi-dimensional person. Nobody's allowed you to express yourself, to say what you didn't like or what you didn't understand, what you didn't believe, what didn't sound realistic to you. If you wanted to tell someone that splitting a sea for people to walk through sounded normal as a child, now how I'm going to separate what Moses did with a staff that was once a snake? Turned into a snake. How can I reconcile that is truth versus Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs? How am I going to differentiate a burning bush talking, all right, and Cinderella? How am I going to separate or reconcile Lion King, right? Like in Pharaoh, or Jonah in the whale, or Noah's Ark. Like I'm an adult, y'all, and I have so many questions about stories in the Bible. You have not been allowed the freedoms to be a multidimensional person. You have not been allowed the freedoms or the rightness to choose what you wanted to believe because it was just taught you, you learned it, and you accepted it as truth. And so if you ask yourself now, you just break down to the basic principles of where you are, you probably would end up feeling so ignorant because you don't have knowledge. You just have what someone else has told you. You have not studied any of these things to really be well-versed in it, to know how much could possibly be humanly accurate and how much just really is miraculous, which the mind can't conceive. And it's a lot of things that happen in our lives that we can't explain. But one thing you do know is that some of the things that you've never understood and you've never really been able to reconcile inside wasn't wrong. You're not sinning to question. Questioning something isn't sinful. What you're doing is you're just saying, hey, I don't want to possibly be a candidate to be brainwashed. So I'm just asking, Mama, don't be mad, but answer me this. How did Noah communicate to said animals? How did he pick the two that get to go? Right? How he get them on the boat? What was the sections like? All of them just acted okay? The whole, oh my goodness, the years that they was on that boat, the ark? The mind wants answers, but you can't ask. You can't ask because you're wrong if you do. So when I talk about deconstruction, it's literally tearing down and bulldozing beliefs. And it's not that none of these things matter or that they're not helpful, but it's just that I get to choose how much of this I accept, how much I allow it to affect me and influence me. And you have a right to do that. You have a right to learn who you are and choose what you want. That's something you weren't told. You were not told that you can be who you want to be. You got to be who God wants you to be. You have to be who Christ has approved you to be. If you're not in his will, things that aren't going for you is because you're not in the will of God. Everything about your life up until this point has really been guided by somebody else's projections of what God wants for you. Even when people ask you, have you heard from God about that? If I tell you I have, will that appease you? Because I didn't think I had to answer if I've heard from God to you. If I have, you just need to respect that I'm moving accordingly for what I've heard and what I want to do. But when you have everybody second guessing you because they don't believe that you're doing what they think you should be doing, that brings doubt to your mind. And then you start carrying that same mindset in your regular life outside of spirituality. Am I making the right moves? Should I accept this job? Should I take this promotion? Should I relocate? Let me run this by such and such first. Did I hear God audibly? A lot of us haven't. And I just want to tell you that on your journey, don't feel bad if you don't hear God audibly speak to you. I've never heard it. A lot of people haven't, but they're saying they have. And that makes you feel like you're missing out on something. Again, what someone else has said, nothing that you've experienced. Experience is the best teacher. Not words, but what do you know to be true for you? Like, let's just use marriage. My mother and father got divorced when I was 2. My experience is not their experience. I just celebrated year 13 of marriage. I'm grateful for that. But guess what? Had I allowed someone else's words dictate what my experience would be, who knows what I would think could be possible for me and my husband. My experience has taught me that you can get married at 21 and have a strong marriage, right? You can get married at 21 and overcome financial hardship. You can get married at 21 and be faithful and committed and loyal. You can be married at 21 and wait 6 years to start a family and have children and not struggle, because that's my experience. So now my words may be going out to you, but what will teach you better than what I'm saying? Your own experience. And in church, you weren't granted that luxury or that freedom. Someone else told you every step of the way what you should believe and what you should say. And that is what the journey of spiritual awakening is. It's not trying to find a new creator or make God who you want the spirit to be. I'm not going to say he, because I don't even know if God is a he. I don't even know. We don't know. Spirit don't have a person, right? But we've been taught and we've heard that, so that's what we say. Next, most believers, and this is actually my last point, most believers lack autonomy. And you may say, what is autonomy? Autonomy is a person's ability to act on his or her own values and interests. We were not given that luxury. Being born into Christianity or holiness or Baptist or Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints or Jehovah's Witnesses or being a Muslim or a Buddhist, a lot of us were not given the luxury of autonomy. Nobody allowed you to act on your own will and make your own choices. Nobody allowed you to ask questions and get answers for yourself and seek and search other religions and other belief systems, because that was wrong. You've just been told not to do it. And just with anything else growing up, you ask your parents, why? I didn't get to ask why. I never even thought that I could ask why, because it was never presented to me as an option, as a norm, to question anything that was told to me. You accept what I say. And so you think about how that has carried over into everything else in your life. It's a journey. It's a journey of discovery. You're now at the point of rediscovering you. I just met me in 2019. And by that, I mean the core foundation of who I am, what I think, why I think that way, what I do, why I react how I do, why I treat people the way I do, why I judge people the way I do. I just found that out in 2019 when I deconstructed, when I started the deconstruction process. Now, when I say I don't care, I mean that shit. I don't care. I recently had somebody to be so blown about me using profanity. I have to use cuss words. I have to do a video about cussing Christians. Because isn't it funny? My name is Christian. I'm a cussing Christian, literally. And how that just blew their mind. Like, you're not the same person, and you've changed, and da-da-da, whatever, and I don't even know who I'm talking to. Why do you use profanity? You don't have to cuss. Listen, they're words. That's just my belief now. You can be upset or bothered by it, but if you choose not to curse, why would you then try to put that on me, that weight on me? If you feel like it's a sin, then you don't do it. I don't feel like it's a sin. So what? Where do we go from here when somebody challenges you and say your beliefs are yours and my beliefs are mine? Who's wrong? Nobody gonna answer that. So that's how we have to start thinking about this journey that we're on. The things that you used to think was a sin or wrong or right, who made it that? Who presented it to you that way? Instead of people giving it to you as an option and just telling you to choose what's best for you, they automatically stamped it as wrong and put you in the position of saying, oh, I don't want to do this to displease them. And if I see somebody else doing it, they're displeasing me. It's all about putting people in position to have control over how you view life. Don't give anybody that power over your mind anymore. You couldn't control it as a kid, but you can control it as an adult. Nobody else gets to tell me what's wrong in my life. I get to say what I want to do and don't want to do. I get to choose how I want to live and what I want to perpetrate on other people. I choose peace. I don't want to judge people. Judgment is too strong of a burden. Who would even want to be out here casting judgment on other people? You wrong. She wrong for wearing that. He wrong for going there, for cheating on her, for doing this, for stealing this or taking this. That's not my place. Now, there are laws in place that you will get in trouble for. But for me just to be out here casting judgment on people all day, that strips away my ability to choose and to focus on things that actually serve me. If it's not directly affecting you, stop weighing in on it. That's what church will set you up for. It'll set you up for the okie doke to be out here like you a little Jesus Jr. Like you a little God Jr. Nobody asked you your opinion. You don't have a heaven or a hell to put anybody in, right? What I say isn't in red in the Bible. What you say isn't in red in the Bible. But we've put ourselves in a position to carry the burden of making everybody else live a certain way. And in that, we're in bondage ourselves. So, I just want to encourage you to not feel bad about the journey. The questions that you're asking. You may find the answers and still stay in church. You may find the answers and still be a Christian or a Jehovah's Witness or a Muslim or a Buddhist or an atheist. You may choose to do whatever you want to do. And it's okay. Whatever you choose is okay for you. It's not my place. And I told you guys this in another video. I'm not out here soul winning. That's not my desire. Because whoever wants to serve whatever, that's their business. Because somebody once perpetrated it on me and projected on me what they believed. And I probably lost a lot of years of happiness as a young adult or even a child because I didn't have the freedom to choose for myself. So I'm not going to do that to you. I'm not going to do that to you. And I just want to give you the tools to know you're free to choose whatever you desire. You're free to learn whatever you want. You can read whatever information and resources that you want. You can make whatever correlation that you want. And if your inner being doesn't flick or switch and say, that's too much for you, that's too far, you don't want to go there. You will always have your own discernment to know for yourself. But don't let anyone else pick that for you. All right? So I just wanted to encourage somebody because I'm sure a lot of people want to know, like, how did you get to that place and how are you so free to talk about these things and not backtrack or whatever? Because I realized that I'm not out here to be perfect. I'm just going to either give my opinion and my 2 cents and go sit down and shut up and not care if people accept it. I'm not going to debate with nobody about what I believe. I'm just not. Everybody's going to end up believing some of the same things. And then the people who don't just won't be attracted to what you believe. And you have to be okay with that. You have to. It's somebody here right now that don't want to wear a slip under a dress. That don't want to wear socks with shoes. Right? Who don't want to eat mustard and ketchup on their hot dog or their hamburger. People who don't want to eat animals and believe it's wrong. People who don't want to wear fur and don't. Right? Like, it's so many beliefs. Let people have what they want to have as their belief. Don't argue. Don't try to pinpoint and make people wrong for what they believe because they don't believe like you. You're robbing yourself of joy in what you believe. If more people understood that if they basked in God's goodness more than they tried to defend his existence, woo, you'd probably be able to lead more people if you actually looked like you were enjoying what you believe in. But it seems like a lot of misery is over there. That's just me. All right. Now, that's just my 2 cents on it all. And I really do appreciate you letting me speak and hopefully, relate and connect with you on the journey. And if you have any questions about deconstructing or any resources, there are some pages that I follow on social media. I don't share them here because I don't want to offend anybody. And try to, again, perpetuate my beliefs on you. But if you ask for resources, I will most definitely add them to the description. But I am respectful of everybody because everybody's walk is different. Along my journey, I will say this before I end the video. I knew that I was doing the right thing for me the way things lined up. Things literally started falling in place for me to get information on new mindset changing things. And had I not gotten the information in the steps that I did, my life would not have changed the way that it did. Things would not have blew up in the best way for me. Having a company that is national, a national brand, I would not have that if I hadn't started the process when I did and information didn't come to me when it did. So if you're ready for certain resources, I may be that resource. I may be that voice right now for you that's actually saying, wow, I'm on the right path. She's saying some things that I needed to hear right now on this journey. Because somebody was that for me. Somebody was that for me. They didn't force it on me. It all fell into place for me every single time. And it was almost like, I think of Alice in Wonderland. Every door she went to got bigger, right? Every door. Like every time I needed something else, it came through a person, through a link, a book, right? A conference, an event, a referral, a video. I always got the next step the more I walked towards my freedom. Whew! I always got the next resource every time I took a step towards my freedom. So maybe this is one of your steps. And I hope that you get to the full picture and that you get to the end of the road and you are happy with where you end up. All right? Okay. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for more of my 2 cents. I look forward to seeing and talking and chatting with you guys in the next video. If there are any questions, comments, or topics you would like for me to broach and to share more of my 2 cents on, drop them in the comments below. I love addressing your topics and doing that at least once a week. Okay? So let's get a video for you. Go ahead and tell me what you would like my 2 cents on and I'll get that in the video. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye.